it's time for culture to go back to things that used to work. And I was thinking about this a lot because unfortunately, Malcolm Jamal Warner died this week, tragically drowned in Costa Rica. He played Theo on The Cosby Show. And I think The Cosby Show, because of the allegations against Bill Cosby, has actually not been as widely distributed as it should have been. You know, young kids today, they love Friends. They're going back and finding a lot of older shows which are representative of how life was before they were around, and they're envious of what they see there from the 80s and the 90s. I have young kids. We have been watching all the 80s and the 90s movies. They love them. It's America's good. Hey, there's an aspirational goal to them. Sitcoms. I wanted to play this cut. This is from The Cosby Show, going back in time to, I think, 1984. And I want to talk about what we've lost and why I think we have to regain it using the cultural prism of sitcoms. Listen.
Dad, when I wear this on my date with Christine, ooh, she is going to die.
Husband does it again. How much is it?
See the label? Gordon Gartrell. This is the shirt.
Gordon Gartrell is a big designer.
Check out these details. Hidden buttons, flap on the back,
Yeah.
two-tone pockets.
Work of art. How much?
But the real thrill is the fabric. It's pure silk. Are your hands clean?
Doctor's hands are always clean.
Then why are they always washing them?
How much? How much? How much?
Dad, if you want quality, you're gonna have to pay for it.
$95.
Oh, well, there must be a pair of pants in there, too.
Okay. That's a funny clip for those of you that remember watching it. $95, I looked it up, would be the equivalent of $250 for a shirt today. But I wanted to talk about this because I know there are people out there. We have a big audience in LA, for instance. And I wanted to talk about it because it tied in with, to me, what I'm seeing with Sydney Sweeney and the way that we are going back in terms of how we're selling goods. Most of us, and I would put this in my camp, in the 1980s and the 1990s, when we grew up, we watched shows like The Cosby Show. And The Cosby Show was a revolutionary show because Bill Cosby's character was a doctor and Claire Huxtable, his wife, was a lawyer. You had a high-powered dad and mom, highly educated, raising families and dealing with the hijinks. And the cultural importance of The Cosby Show was what it showed us, which is all families, white, black, Asian, and Hispanic, actually have way more in common than we do apart. And I think this is so important. I was thinking about it because I've been watching current pop culture shows. There's almost no dads. Think about it for a minute. There is almost no dad present in a nuclear household, nuclear family household, in any pop culture shows today. There are lots of strong moms. They tend to be single moms. But in terms of pop culture, just think about this. I grew up, many of you grew up, either raising your kids or watching these shows yourselves. The Cosby Show, nuclear family. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, nuclear family. Family Ties, nuclear family. Growing Pains, nuclear family. Full House, dad, mom had died. Think about all of the shows that we watched in the 80s and 90s. Even while there was a lot of divorce out there, we understood that the aspirational goal of a healthy household was a dad at home raising kids. All of these shows that I could run through as you think about them in your own life, Family Matters, and I might repeat some, Growing Pains, Family Ties, all of the most popular shows had dads at home with mom raising kids. Dads, while they might have been the butt of the joke, as oftentimes happens in sitcoms, were still integral. Tim Allen with Home Improvement back in the day. Even up to Modern Family, where you had non-traditional in some ways family, but also still very strong parenting, father in the household raising kids. Where is dad gone? Is it any wonder that boys are struggling in society today when we have, even in pop culture, eliminated all of the dads from the stories that we tell on television. And I've said this before, Buck and I have talked about this. Look, there's lots of shows that I think if I had billions of dollars and I ran a media company, I would greenlight the Lewis and Clark Expedition show. Just make Undaunted Courage, the book, into a huge streaming series. It would be the most popular show in America. I'm telling you, if it was done well. Going into American history, finding strong characters being successful, there's a huge demand for them. I would submit to you, because I asked about this on social media, Yellowstone, really the reason why Yellowstone was such a huge success was Kevin Costner's father figure. Look, he's got a lot of flaws if you watch that show. Spoiler alert, lots of murders, everything else. But innately, what he's trying to do is hold the family together. He's a strong male character. They almost don't exist in the context of family today. Why? Why has Hollywood written men out of most of their comedic dramas and most of their movies and most of their streaming success shows? And really, is that representative of what America wants? Or is it another example of the Carnival Funhouse mirror of social media deciding that men are toxic, white men in particular? And I'm thinking about this a lot because my new book that's going to come out called Balls, yes, Balls, and I'm raising 3 young boys. No one wants weak men. But if the culture creates weak men, then there are no aspirational goals. And you can say, well, if you have to look to television to raise your kids, you're in trouble. Yeah, I agree. That's not good. But you know what's worse? Not having a male figure in your household and not even having an aspirational father figure that you see on television. You may think it's ridiculous. But I guarantee you there were lots of young kids, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, that watched The Cosby Show back in the day and thought, I want to one day be like Bill Cosby. I want to be married and I want to have kids in my house. And they thought, I want to be like Tim the Toolman Taylor, or I want to be on Home Improvement, or I want to be like Jason Seaver on Growing Pains. I'm going to be the dad. I'm going to raise the kids. That's my job. I'm going to provide for a family, and I'm going to give them a better future than I had. That, guys, is what men want. We are innately wired to provide for a family, to protect a family. What happens when you write men, fathers, out of all of the Hollywood stories? You create weak men. You don't even create aspirational figures that dads, young men can aspire to be. And it feels very intentional to me. Looking at social media, you would think men don't matter, dads are worthless. Moms are celebrated all the time. And I wish no single mom had to exist. Because trust me, I can only imagine how hard it is to have to try to fulfill both roles. And I wish there were no men that walked out on homes, all those things, right? And I'm not disparaging moms who are busting their ass, having to do 2 roles. But I just come back to one of the kids, and this is in the new book, but I was thinking about it in the wake of Theo. I was going back and watching old Cosby Show clips. I was thinking about it in that context. One of my son's friends came in recently, and he said, we're being taught that white men have all this power. This is a couple years ago, 10-year-old kid. And he's going off on, just being a funny kid. And he ultimately comes to the punchline, which is basically this. Mr. Clay, they tell me that boys and men, we have all this power and everything else. My mom doesn't even let me pick what I get to eat for dinner. And imagine for those young boys out there what that disconnect is between, hey, you're the cause of all of the problems in America today. You, men, you're awful. And simultaneously, you don't maybe have a father figure in your household, and you don't even see one in pop culture. Is it any wonder that young boys are lost? And I just implore you, Hollywood, how about just make a show where a dad is a dad? like they were throughout the 80s and the 90s, 2000s. Doesn't have to be a perfect dad. Just a dad so that people can see, hey, this is what I could aspire to be someday. I'd like to have a family. I'd like to live in a household. I'd like to get married and help raise kids. We used to see that lifestyle all the time. It does not exist now. That is a flaw. And I would submit it's coming from the whole fallout of Me Too, which basically went from, hey, don't commit crimes, to men are evil, men are wrong. And I think Hollywood followed that on social media and intentionally wrote men out of starring roles in the family unit. So we got a lot of people in LA listening. We got a lot of smart people in the creative space. How about you just make a good old-fashioned sitcom with a good dad? It dominated the ratings in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. I got a crazy idea for you. I think you can dominate streaming in the 2020s because people are desperate to see it. The world's not as different as you want to think it is, whether it's putting a hot girl in jeans and a tank top and starting to sell gear again, like American Eagle is doing, or just finding a great American dad, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, putting them into a sitcom and letting America recognize, particularly young boys, the biggest, most aspirational goal that you should have is to one day be a good dad. Look, I want to tell you, speaking of aspirational goals, I wish my Braves weren't so awful. I wish that when I watched the Atlanta Braves play, I didn't have to, in the back of my mind, think, boy, you know what? I hope Ronald Acuna's playing tonight because the team's probably going to lose, but at least he's going to make a bunch of big plays. He's fun. He's an unbelievable athlete. Maybe you've reached that situation with your favorite Major League Baseball team. You get to August, maybe they're not contending for the title like you hoped they would, but you can still have fun with it at PrizePicks. All you have to do is use my name, Clay. You play $5. You pick more or less on athletes. Teams aren't involved. You just pick your favorite players. How many strikeouts are they going to have? How many hits are they going to get? Are they going to score a run? More or less, you dive in, and you can turn a $5 pick into maybe $100, maybe $200. Plus, you'll just have a little bit more fun. And when you sign up right now, you get $50. PrizePicks.com, code Clay. That's PrizePicks.com, code Clay. $5, turn it into $50. PrizePicks.com, code Clay. You can play in California. You can play in Texas. You can play in Florida. You can play in Georgia. All over the country. Get hooked up now. NFL training camp season is here. I promise you're going to have some fun. All you have to do is go to PrizePicks.com. My name, Clay. That's PrizePicks.com, code